Season 2's main focus is the Peace Syndicate, and whilst they seem quite trustworthy at a first glance, what will really happen when it comes to us fighting to save Mega City, and why are the Peace Syndicate really working with the Loopers in the first place? Fortnite Story is a very unique narrative told through the perspective of the Looper. The Looper is of course our player in the game who fights, who dies, who respawns, and as a character we've seen all these crazy events unfold on the island, but really we're really just so completely oblivious to everything else going on in this world. Fortnite seasons usually release with a set of story quests that continue throughout that season, and their purpose is to engage the Looper with the main protagonist faction of that season. But what if I told you that there's a much deeper meaning behind all these quests that we do? Let's take the quest that we did in Chapter 2 Season 7 for example. We, as the Looper, were recruited into the Imagined Order by Dr. Sloan, and she's a high-ranking member of the Imagined Order. She of course then told us her side of the story only, which made us sympathize purely with her, and ultimately we believed she was on our side. After helping her out with various different tasks, we reached our final mission together, which was Operation Skyfire. Dr. Sloan armed us up with bombs to continue her own plan, and then she said this:
"You played your part, now I have to play mine. We are fighting a war in which we are hopelessly outgunned. I won't bring you home."
Even after sticking by her side throughout that entire season, Sloan genuinely did not care if we died or not, and here's where that gets very interesting. Think about it this way. If Sloan used us very consistently and then we died while carrying out her plan, we could have just respawned into a new life where theoretically she could just use us again because we can't remember any of what she did to us in this past. That's how every loop works. We forget everything that happened prior to that, and we're pretty much just oblivious to anyone and anything and what they're actually trying to do. Now on her part that's very smart, but towards us that's pretty messed up, and it's not just her. Other than the 7, all of the factions in the story never really build a genuine relationship with the player because we as the Looper are incredibly disposable, and if we die while doing work for someone it doesn't even matter because we're never really gone. We can start to see that pattern occurring in this season as well, with the recently released set of Syndicate quests where Evie and Thunder allocate us as their main hero. From previous weeks, we've had teasers towards the Last Reality's return to fight against the Peace Syndicate in Mega City, and if we're their main hero, the player us is going to have a pretty huge involvement in defeating this enemy faction, but if we die that's fine, because the Syndicate can just wait until we respawn and then they go in for round 2. This isn't right. The quest this week focused on forming an alliance between 3 of the syndicates, being the Fox Clan, the River Guard, and of course the Peace Syndicate, who are the main one which we're following in the quests. The River Guard agreed to ally with us as we show them some impressive skills with their kinetic blade, and then the Fox Clan agreed to ally with us if we can hold onto high-ranked weapons and use them very efficiently, which would benefit both of the syndicates, and then once that happens, the Peace Syndicate basically says, hey, you're pretty skilled, so now we'll all stick together and watch while you do all the work against the Last Reality. Thunder even tells us to make sure we're keeping the peace despite the fact that they're the Peace Syndicate, like we're just an oblivious Looper and a role that large should not be placed on someone like us. Quickly interrupting this video to say that we now have a TDSX channel membership. If you're into the Fortnite lore and you want to access private posts and Discord sections, this membership is just for you, and if you're not already in the Discord server, the link to it is in the description below. Now back to the video. A few minutes earlier on, we talked about how the 7 were reasonably considerate of us as the player in comparison to how all the other factions in the story acted towards us. But why is that? And is there any good reason for how the other factions were towards us? First of all, the 7's overall mission is practically just to defeat the Imagined Order and end the loop for good. So their morals already showed that what they're doing will greatly benefit us, and they intend it to be that way. The example of Dr. Sloan was also brought up earlier too, and many could then argue that the Imagined Order have also played somewhat of a heroic role in benefiting and protecting the 0 point, possibly even more so than the 7, but the way that the Imagined Order go about doing this is what makes it wrong. The 7 fight for us, pilot for us, the Foundation even locked himself in a corruptive tower of stone for us, but Sloan couldn't even order a vehicle like a helicopter to bring us down from the mothership. This way of looking at things really shows us the true impact that we've had on different factions in the story, and how much has that really affected them? What side are they truly on? As much as I would love to stand with the Peace Syndicate for the better of Mega City, with this newfound knowledge, it's hard to kinda do that. With the 7 quite possibly corrupted, the Imagined Order entirely gone excluding Geno, and the nothing on its way to fight against the Peace Syndicate's hero, which is just us, things are not looking too good for the island and there's not much hope we have left.